Hi everyone! Do you ever have a tomato plant that you love so much you wish you could duplicate it? Well, you know what I'm going to say. You can. Today I'm going to show you how to clone a tomato plant from a cutting. Now, not only is this a way to duplicate your favorite plants, but a tomato plant grows into a fruit-producing plant a lot quicker from a cutting than it does from seed. So it's a great way to get free plants from your garden so you have a fresh new wave of tomatoes at the end of the season. Here's what you're going to need. Your favorite tomato plant to take a cutting from. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. A pair of pruners, a jar of water, and a rooting hormone like Vermistera Vitality. This is optional, but highly recommended as it helps your cutting root a lot faster. Here's how the cloning process works. You're taking a cutting from your plant, placing it in water, and it will grow roots. And then you can plant that so you have free plants for your garden. Now, the important thing is that you take a cutting from a healthy, disease-free plant. It's a really good idea to take one at the beginning of the season, late June, early July, before a lot of your plants get diseases like they tend to do later in the season. This way you have fresh new plants at the end of the summer that will produce healthy new tomatoes for you. Now, I like to take my cuttings from indeterminate tomato plants because those tomatoes grow over a longer period of time and tend to produce a lot better from cuttings. You want to take your cutting from your tomato plant from a sucker because the suckers are what root the fastest. Now let me show you what that is. A sucker is the little stem that's growing out here between the main stem and a branching stem. And you want to look for a sucker that's no more than 6 inches long. This one's about 3 inches long, so it's just perfect. And you want your sucker to have at least 2 leaves, but it's okay if it has more. So this is a perfect spot to take our cutting. You don't want your suckers to have any flowers or any fruit on them. When you cut your sucker, you go in here with your pruners, just snip it at the bottom, and you got it. Step 1 to cloning my tomato plant is complete. I cut 2 suckers from my favorite Golden Jubilee tomato plant. Step 2 is to place your cuttings in water. Now over here I've got 2 jars filled with just a couple inches of water. And before I add my cuttings though, I am going to add a couple drops of Vermistera Vitality. This is worm tea. And again, this step is optional, but highly recommended as it really helps your cuttings root faster. Worm castings have a natural rooting hormone, so it's super helpful in getting your cuttings to root very, very quickly. So just a few drops is all you need. I'm going to swirl it around in there. If your cuttings have any leaves at the bottom, you want to remove those so they don't root in the water. Then all you have to do, this is so easy, is just place your cuttings in a jar of water. Step 3 is caring for your cuttings. Take them inside, put them on your windowsill out of direct sunlight. It's perfectly normal if the leaves wilt for a couple of days. It's just a little bit of transplant shock while they get used to their new home. Change the water every couple of days to keep it nice and fresh and to keep the stems from rotting. After about 7 to 10 days, your cuttings will start to grow roots, just like this one is here. It'll grow roots all along, up and down the stem. You want to add a little bit of water as the roots grow so the roots stay submerged. Step 4, and you're one step closer to cloning your favorite tomato plant, is you're going to transplant your cutting. You want to do this when the roots are about 1 inch or so long, and this is very, very easy. You're going to transplant it in a pot so it can get well established and ready for you to put out in the garden. So here I've got a 1-gallon CaliChem Smart Pot, and I'm just digging a little hole in the middle here to put my cutting into. Just going to place my cutting right down in the soil with the roots down in there. Cover up the roots. Kind of tamp it down so there's no big air pockets in there. I'm going to water my cutting and add a little bit of Vermistera to the watering can. Again, with that natural root hormone, it will really help the roots get established, which is exactly what we want so we can get it planted out in the garden. You do want to baby your newly planted cutting for just a few weeks until the roots get established. Keep it inside, out of direct sunlight, or you can pop it under grow lights. After a few weeks, the roots will start getting established in the soil here. When you tug on it, you get a little bit of resistance, and that means it's ready to start hardening off or gradually transitioning it to the outdoors so you can then plant it outside in your garden. Now that you know how easy it is, what I want you to do this week is go out and do it. And let me know in the comments which one of your favorite tomato plants you're going to be cloning. Now, I love to have sales for you to help you grow your veggies. Today is the last day of my current sale, 25% off all my seed collections, signed copies of my books, garden kits, and CaliKim Smart Pots with the code July 4th. And while you're at it, grab the July Grow Your Groceries with CaliKim subscription box. People are absolutely loving these. You can get $5 off your first box with the code JulySubbox. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.